Elements were not really thought of to be a mediocre team even. They were maybe put on the bottom of the ladder. Perhaps Element doesn't have the best players, but they're really good together in comparison to teams who maybe have better individuals. They aren't on the same level as a team. But perhaps now with time, with teams catching up and becoming better and better together, maybe Elements will falter a little bit and fall further down in the ladder. But as a Swede myself, seeing Sprattle successful is really nice. I think we have to support each other. There's only a few of us left.
And welcome back as Fnatic and Elements get ready on stage. We wanted to take a look at how players in the European LCS spend their time in the early game. So to do this, we actually developed a way of tracking how much time a player spends within a specific range of their allies. And we're calling this concept gravity. So we wanted to put some numbers to those gut feelings that we have, talking about how maybe junglers babysit a lane, or how they camp for a player or a specific duo. So this is where we are going to introduce jungle gravity. Right, what is jungle gravity? It's fairly simple. It is the time frame between 3 minutes and 15 minutes. It's just the early game, the laning phase, in non-lane swap games, because we want to see how do teams prioritize their decision making, how do they prioritize their resources, and where is their jungler going during this stage of the matchup. And we decided on a value that we thought was quite encompassing, 2,000 range, right? So this means, is the jungler within 2,000 range of a specific allied teammate? 2,000 range is the furthest distance on a max rank Zac E. It is a level 1 ace in the hole from Caitlyn, or it is just longer than experience range, just to give you a visualization. Right, now we've set the tone for what jungle gravity is. Let's actually show you some examples, starting with Vitality's Shook. This is a guy that everybody knows babysits Cabochard, right? Let's put some numbers to this. He spends 16.5% of his time between 3 minutes and 15 minutes near Cabochard, as you can see, helping to pick up some kills, helping to support Cabochard, because Cabochard's a phenomenal player. What does this actually mean? Well, this means because of the time that Shook is spending with Cabo, Cabo is able to develop this phenomenal stat line. He has the highest CS for a top laner, while simultaneously keeping his opponent's CS at the lowest value. And that is because Shook is one of these fringe cases who spends the most amount of time of any jungler in the top lane region, while spending the lowest amount of time in every other lane. Right, next example, let's take a look at the mid lane and who's chilling out in that area. The prime example for us here is Airwax, right? Playing for Roccat. He spends a lot of time within 2,000 range of Betsy. That means he's applying pressure. That means he's putting vision up. That means he's clearing camps. And because of the amount of time and resources that Airwax is putting in that lane, it is enabling Betsy. He's got a great scoreline of 305. He's farming incredibly well. And this guy who was kind of middle of the pack in terms of stats last year is now really showing up and becoming enabled and empowered by the jungle gravity that Airwax is putting for him. And as you guys have heard so much about jungle support synergy, this is something we've spent a lot of time discussing. And the creme de la creme of jungle support synergy is Jankos and Vander. He is within 2,000 range in the early game of Vander 30% of the time. I'm going to give you a number here. 30% means 3.5 minutes out of 12, right? That is a phenomenal amount. And what are they doing? We see them tracking the enemy jungler. We see them clearing vision. We see them setting up vision all around. This means that Jankos is doing well. He's supporting Vander. Vander's got a phenomenal stat line. And because of both of them and all the resources, it means Forgiven is given every single tool in the book to shine, because he is a carry. He has the mechanics to play this high pressure, unforgiving play style. And that is why H2K are doing so well with their AD carry. So we've actually run all of the numbers for the entire league, and here are some of the examples that we have talked about. As we said, every single jungler. Here's Vitality with Shook, 16.5%. It is phenomenally more time than any other jungler in the top lane. Much like Roccat, 27.5%, that's 3 minutes and 20 seconds in the early game. That Airwax is within 2,000 range of Betsy. You want to look just at some of the others. The closest, 21%, that is a big difference. And then finally, as we did highlight H2K, you can see them over on the right-hand side. I don't have enough time to talk about every single jungler and every single team right now, but I do want you guys to take a look at the details, take a look at the stats. So head over to Twitter, check out @LOL Esports, and you can see how your favorite team is prioritizing their time with their jungler and which lane they're favoring. And then I want you guys to share your conclusions with us. Hit us up on Twitter and tell us what you think of jungle gravity. For now, we're going to head over to Pulse and to Fisher, where we hope they can talk about it in-game.
Thank you so much, Trevor. And yes, we are getting ready up for Fnatic and Elements. Whoa! On stage right now. But let's dial in on the blue side in this matchup. Fnatic currently coming off that 2-0 week, looking really strong so far.
Yeah, I mean, a 2-0 week for Fnatic looks good on paper. I feel like the performance itself wasn't that great from Fnatic, especially against Rocket. They actually almost, the game was lost in so many ways, but Rocket couldn't finish the game, and then we got full late game, 6 items on Reckless on Caitlyn with a Lulu backing him up from Febiven, which then won the last late game team fight for Fnatic. So credit to Reckless for them becoming a late game carry, something he wasn't back in Summer Split, where he played like Kennen and he played a lot of supportive AD carries. But still, Fnatic didn't have the greatest game.
Yeah, that'll be exciting to see in Champion Select if they draft something similar. But as we load up for Champion Select, let's take a look at the starters for Fnatic. First off, in the top lane, it is Gamsu with jungler Spirit, mid lane Febiven, AD carry Reckless, and the new support Kalai with coach Daylor.
Yeah, and then we have Elements on the other side with Steve up in the top lane, Gilius in the jungle, Aika is there as a mid laner, Rallis and Spruttle down in the bottom lane together. And of course, behind the team, you can see Nif standing and smiling, as always. Even though Elements, the last 2 weeks, haven't had too much to smile about, because it's honestly not been the greatest games for them. They've been losing every single one. Had a great start. First 2 weeks, 3-1. We were like, hey, Elements look better than expected. And then they have played some tough opponents. Fnatic is another one. Been going downhill for Elements.
Yeah, you said there's not a lot to smile about, but it's always good to be smiling and having a positive attitude.
Just the results, I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff to smile about.
Indeed. Well, maybe we can start smiling as we get into the Champions Select with that new support Klai on Fnatic. Used to be Klai Bike, if you recognize the name. Used to be in Nordic Open, if you watch that. Alistair and Lulu will be the first couple of bans coming out from these teams.
So when you play against Spruttle and Elements, you ban Alistair. And it's not champ you also ban, it's against Steve, that's Fiora. These are the 2 main picks for Elements, the 2 biggest comfort picks for this team. So very, very normal on blue side that you ban them. Because also on blue side, you kind of want more OPs to be open. So you get a first pick and then you get second rotation, you get 2 more of these super strong contested picks. Only thing you have to be aware of now is, will you get into a trade of like a Poppy for potentially a Corki? No, in this case, because Fnatic are banning away Poppy, so they're basically lining up for Corki first pick in this case, or a Lucian first pick if they want that for Reckless. That's been like the 2 contested ones. And the reason Lucian goes up there is because Kalista gets banned, and then obviously he's the second best of the AD carries, where Corki is better in mid lane.
Of course, you hit the pool very hard, and then if you have the Corki in the mid lane, then it hits it again, and then you go on to like maybe the B tier AD carries like Caitlyn, maybe even seeing like a Jinx returning at some point, but like those are generally the champions you're looking towards.
And I really like this from Fnatic, because I think Rallis is still one of the big carries for Elements, and when they have been winning games, it was often him in these team fights together with Spruttle. So take away that best AD carry available. Rallis has played a lot of Corki, but Corki is just not as strong as Lucian right now, at least not in the early stages of the game, so that's why teams value the Lucian higher.
Well, Brom also picked up along the Corki.
Let me just jump back on that one, by the way, before anyone takes it out of context.
Sit back down.
You know, Corki is fantastic. Corki is super, super OP. I just like him more as a mid laner than as an AD carry, and that's what the teams also like more. That's why they take the Lucian. Yep. Move on.
Okay. Start cancelling out those tweets. That's not what he said. He's re-clarified. So cancel that one up, but waiting on the next 2 pickups. Spirit is having a wave there at the camera. You can see the new support coming in from Noxiak. It will be Klai.
It looks like Spirit a lot.
Yeah.
I don't camera
yes,
jump.
So. Yeah, but yeah. Flash will also be picked up for Klai Bike. Back when I used to see him in kind of the amateur circuit, Thresh was like one of the strongest champions for him because he's able to make these big plays.
Yeah.
A lot like a lot of kind of semi-pro supports would do that, so they can make the big plays happen, start carrying the game. It seems like they've carried that over into the LCS and they're securing that one for him.
It's what we see so often from these solo queue supports in Europe. They all master Thresh, they have good mechanics, they can make big plays. I would say Noxiak was the same kind of player. Coming onto the stage, it's just so different though. It's so much more about your communication, your warding, and it's a very different environment for support compared to solo queue. And He probably needs a bit of time to adapt. Fnatic said the same, they're not expecting instant results from Clyde coming in. But he gets a comfort pick, and that's always great in your first game.
And additionally, he has been in teams before in semi-professional play, unlike some people who just immediately come from the Challenger. So like Rudy, for example, he was never in the team. He went into that lineup. But it is a different one. They'll operate in a different way. Let's head over to Elements, who picked up Lee Sin in the jungle and Malphite as well. Interesting.
It's very interesting with Gilius and his champion pool, because he has been playing a lot of the standard picks, but then he has that pocket Lee Sin he really likes to play very often as almost the only one right now. Because if you look at Spirit, he prefers the farm-heavy junglers. Nidalee, great early clear, can farm super effective very quickly. That's more a jungler for him, the carry style, where Gilius is more trying to make plays early on. He's very aggressive in the way he's playing. He's not afraid to try and insect you multiple screens away, like wall jump and flash forward and whatever.
We've seen it.
He is a playmaker. This Pulse is an old favorite of yours, the Nautilus top lane.
Pulse hype intensifies. Yeah, so Nautilus coming back into the top lane. We've seen a lot of different tanks actually return up there. The Maokai, for example, the Nautilus now coming back in. I will go ham on this in-game, but I'm going to stop myself for now.
Let's talk about one of the reasons they picked Nautilus here. First of all, against Corki, who's relying on his Valk to be safe, he can't escape the Nautilus Q, or the Nautilus ulti. It's gonna hit him at some point, so it's very difficult for Corki then to maneuver in these fights. But the most important one is that a tank was locked in top lane in the Malphite for Steve. Nautilus is unkillable for the Malphite, and there's this great item the teams are we seeing more and more of in solo queue, the ZZ Rod portal, which is so good against tanks because they can't kill that portal. They can't really push it back. They can't really stop these Voidlings from keep spawning. I think we're gonna see that from Gamsu top in this one, and then you have this tank versus tank matchup that's just basically decided by the Voidlings constantly pushing on towers, and it is so annoying to play against.
ZZ Rot is incredible against tank matchups and also heavy APs like Ryze, Vladimir, for example, even Maokai, because they just can't kill those minions. You build Banner as well, and you actually just don't deal damage.
Yeah, that's disgusting if you hit that point, but obviously for Fnatic, we're gonna have to see if he actually builds it. Otherwise, Nautilus top has been played quite a bit in the LPL.
Correct.
Coming up as just on a pure tank, basically up in the top lane, Iceborne Gauntlet, and then just pure tank. And it's super hard to escape when he sits up there in the top lane. And it's very good against these very squishy double AD carry compositions because Nautilus can guarantee that engage. And he's so hard to take down in the mid game because he just gets so tanky very quickly and has to shield from his W.
Now we will be expanding on that one. Ooh, hello.
Wow.
Martin,
Slow.
Yeah, from the forehead. Well, we can see the compositions and also the lineups from both of these teams. Use the hashtags, hashtag FNC win for Fnatic if you think they're going to take this one home up against Elements, which is hashtag EL win. And as the back of our heads, hello. Let's get into game.
Let's see what happens here. Really want to see what Gamsu is building up in the top lane. Maybe we've been fooled by solo queue.
Maybe.
Looking too much at all the different things. I've seen Nasa's top lane with the ZZ Rod as well. It's been very scary.
Yeah, let's get into this one, Fnatic and Elements. But to touch on that one again, we tried that yesterday. You went for the Nasus. I wasn't sure if you actually put a pointing queue because you had like, what, 200 stacks, like 50 minutes?
You don't need stacks when you're last hit with E-Pulse. That's how you're supposed to play Nasus. Let's see what happens in this game. Should be better from Elements than my performance yesterday. And they are invading in early to try and get some deep vision to spot a potential lane swap. Probably gonna see the standard 3 wards being placed down here towards the gate and the tier 2 tower. That's second one and third one.
There we go. We will be talking more about wards tomorrow to all the common places. But let's see, Elements are now backing away. Now place one last ward before they back off.
I really like that ward from Fnatic. They saw the invade, so they placed a ward at the blue buff to see if Elements are staying around, if they run out, to potentially see, okay, is there a chance they might swap down to bottom side because they're now running out of the jungle? It is harder to do. You got to do it very quickly now because of the timing of the minions spawning so early. But Fnatic at least know, okay, Elements haven't stuck around that top side. And they can now basically try and guess because you see Elements are staying around mid lane, being like, okay, we want to see something before we do anything. Playing a Ezreal Braum into Lucian Thresh is complete suicide. Like, that's impossible for you to really win that lane, outside of maybe one all-in you can do. So I understand 100% why Elements are saying, let's lane swap. Let's not risk losing the game already in the laning phase.
Additionally, we did see the masteries being picked up, and once again, what a surprise! They're both running Strength for the Ages, so yeah, pretty much every jungler picking that up right now. Cly and Reckless heading in spot lane. What was that with issue? I talked over you.
I'm just saying, get that free HP pulse. It is worth it. The Thunderlords is outdated now for junglers.
It is 800 gold when fully stacked, and that's not even including the max health that you get back from camps or big minions after you've fully stacked it, so you have to value that one yourself. But a good way to compare it is to Windspeaker's Blessing, which at maximum potential with everyone level 18, and you hit everyone with a heal, has 2,500 gold worth of stats. And that's 800 on one champion. So
it's a very good scenario if you get the heal on everyone. Has to play like Alistar or Monsoon on a Janna. In one of these big team fights, it only lasts for 3 seconds. Strength of the Ages lasts for the entire game.
Yep. Mathematics.
I think we're selling it, you know, we're really selling it. Reload, I hope junglers with solo queue will pick it up.
But wait, there's more. If you pick it up now, everyone's picking it up. Bottom lane.
Alright, no surprise in terms of the lane swap. Both junglers have kind of divided the map between them. Everyone is fast pushing. This is what we see every time. So it's no longer about what happens on the first push. It's about what happens when the tower goes down. How the teams react to step number 2. Which player gets the gold. Normally you always want to see it on your top laner. Unless you play like an Ezreal, then you can actually share the gold to get tier on your back, which I believe Elements did up on top side. Actually, no, they didn't. Because they didn't even kill the tower.
Thank you, observers.
That is a big, big mistake. Like, this step should never go wrong. Like, you can practice this over and over and over and over. And this part is part of every single scrim these teams play. It's more once we get to like 20 minutes that teams start to maybe saying, let's take next scrim and so on if there's something going wrong and you don't practice late game shot calling. But this part you can practice every game. And that should never go wrong for Elements. They're now 1,000 gold behind already. Pushing in that one and not getting the tower.
They have lost so much tempo in this lane swap now. Yeah, as you mentioned, that was the first step, and Elements just kind of fell over. And now Steve can't even push that tower.
I mean, they didn't even manage to open the book.
Gone up there.
Not only didn't they read the book, they didn't even open the book in the first place.
They saw the cover.
That's step 1.
You know what? I don't think we need to read this. But now, Steve is going to go into bot lane.
Well, the thing is, for Steve now, he can't stay top because he knows Spirit is now swapping to that side. Again, this is about playing around the strong side for each team, and obviously when you have the dual lane on one side, early on they are 2 members, so they're obviously going to be very strong, and therefore you put your support, also your jungler with them, meaning Steve can't stay and farm. He would get killed on the tower, forced away. So he has to go bot lane now. They have to try and trade for bot tower, but now the best case for Elements is they trade 1 tower for 1 tower. But they're still tower behind, because they didn't take the first one, obviously. So they just put themselves 1,000 gold behind. Let's see the tempo on this tower going down, because right now Elements are slightly behind still. And how fast they can kill tower. Meaning Gamsu will be able to pick up a little bit of extra farm once the tower dies here. Staying up on top, and man, not only didn't you get tower, that means no tier for your Ezreal on the first back. Such a poor start.
So, Deficio, in these scenarios where one team doesn't get the first tower and then you once again change up and you get the second one, so it's now 2-1, how do Fnatic now stay ahead and make another tempo play to continue staying ahead in this game? What do they do to capitalize?
I mean, you got 1,000 gold lead already, you've already capitalized. Like, you've already gotten your advantage straight from this. And because Elements reacted quick enough and moved Steve bot lane, then he's not falling further behind in the CS or experience, so that's fine. You basically just lost 1,000 gold for nothing. That's the problem for Elements and the benefit Fnatic got. You keep seeing these wards in the lanes after towers go down. That's very smart because you want to see where the other team is sending their dual lane, because they always want to move them around and deny the enemy top laner. It just means for Steve he can see very quickly who's coming.
Yep.
Can I push out my wave, get extra CS? No, I have to back away. Okay, there's no risk then of Steve dying. You can see him run all the way to his tier 2 tower, even though Spirit and Cly are both chasing him technically. So had he stayed with no vision, he could have died right here.
Gilius has been spotted in the jungle. Now he's backing off, but already pressure being put down by Fnatic with the runs coming out. Also with Cly, so we're already seeing some synergy come in for Cly and Spirit. And
now because you still have a tier 1 tower up top, you can invest everything on the other side, and you can push into enemy tier 2 tower, allowing you access into the enemy jungle. So that's your second benefit now. Not only did you get the gold, you now get free control of an enemy jungle because you're just pushing this big wave up. Obviously, it was frozen by Elements after the tower went down. Nidalee is grouped with the AD carry. Steve taking a lot of damage.
Oh, the hook into the paw and the
Dead.
last double tap with the ignite. Kalai, welcome to the LCS. That's the first blood going over to you.
And again now, Fnatic can just make this play super safe. There's no chance of this going wrong because Steve was sitting bot lane after the tower went down. Fnatic knows this. They can build up a big wave and there's no TP pressure, obviously, because they're attacking the teleport player, which is Steve in this case. So you now get an easy tower here. Obviously, Element should never been caught out under the tower. But now you have control in the enemy jungle. Push up a big wave, you got tower advantage up top side, you get another tower advantage on bottom side. Elements is just falling flat on the face in this lane swap.
Yeah.
And Fnatic is just walking behind them, picking up all the gold they're dropping.
Yeah, they fell over and can't get back up, and it's just getting worse and worse. Elements, or rather Fnatic, that push was so confident for them. They could stay there, wait for the minions to die to tower, then finish off, recall, take 5 minutes on a coffee break, come back, pick up some items, and restart the game. It's ridiculous how far they pulled ahead.
So one of the really good things about Nidalee jungle, it was a pick that everyone hated coming into the split, because teams were using it as this like super snowball pick that had to get like an early kill to do anything. Teams have now figured out how to play with Nidalee, where it's more focused around having your super fast clear, and then grouping with your AD carry on towers. Heal him, give him attack speed, have your own range attack, and you can apply a lot of pressure early on these turrets. So by having Spirit coming in, the big wave, and because Elements had Mr. Riley sitting topside to try and get that tower, Malphite can't really do anything against the wave. There was no wave clear from Elements at all, or range poke. And Fnatic just used the big wave with Nidalee and the rest of the team to get another tower. So super good start by Fnatic. Super bad start by Elements.
Simple as that. Gilius did manage to pick up the Rift Herald, however, so that is a small win. Silver linings and all that. So he'll go back to base, have the extra movement speed, and a 10% extra damage. Ike will be back in this mid lane. Funny thing about lane swaps, mid laners usually don't really do anything in them, so they sit mid lane, it's just like, oh, did we get ahead? Did we not get ahead? Well, I'll find out after it's finished.
And now Fnatic, because again, they've been faster at taking down these turrets, can look for either try and pressure the mid tower, or they can start pushing up top side and get into the red side jungle of Elements and start pressuring that tier 2 tower up there. And then suddenly you have basically the map divided. You constantly have full pressure on one side. And the way it works in the current meta is once you lost your jungle, you can't really walk in there. So you have to mirror what the other team is doing. But because you're now a towers behind, every time you make that trade, you never really gain anything because you're still behind.
Right.
Because you're still a tower behind from the start. So it's just about how much can you pressure the lanes and the jungle. Fnatic now kind of slowing it down a little bit. Just letting Nautilus get all the farm up top. Is that a Banner command on the way from Gamsu?
Maybe.
I think it is.
The egg is being picked up.
And the Alistar should lead into a ZZ Rod portal then, coming after. And then it's a split pushing Nautilus, who's very hard to kill. Impossible to kill for a Malphite, that's for sure. Who then also suddenly has pressure on your towers. Because he can buff off his own minion, and he can also put down a ZZ Rod with the Void Lens.
Correct.
And Malphite can't do anything to stop these guys from killing his tower. And then suddenly you gotta send someone else to stop it, but there's no one else with a teleport. So you send someone with no teleport to that lane. Gamsu just TPs away and makes a play 5v4 on the other side of the map. And man, it can look fantastic.
That's what we call checkmate.
Let's see.
Man, I want to see this happen so badly.
I just want to see where they place the portal. Because like one thing is in solo queue where teams are placing it, and it's like, yes, in solo queue you can learn something, but in competitive it should be a lot more planned where to place the ZZ Rod portal. And also, when do you ban off command the minion? Like, which wave do you pick? Do you want to commit fully for tower? Do you just want to start a slow push? Because that's the other thing you can do with this build, is these minions will just slow push on its own, and you can make plays elsewhere on the map.
Banana? Nope. Gamsu's not hungry. But yeah, so in solo queue, sometimes you'll place it down at your tower if you're in the one-on-one. Of course, he doesn't have it in this game, but it means that your opponent laner cannot kill him because it's under the tower.
I actually think Fnatic is dropping the ball here.
There's no minion wave though.
This wave has been pushing in for a long, long time. This was Element's good lane to play around. So unless Fnatic can actually trade for this inhib, but the thing is, Elements can recall now. And Fnatic haven't even reached the tower yet, so they're way too slow with this play. I actually didn't like that at all. Because you had that wave coming in and it was slow pushing from Gamsu. So he was so far down towards his own tower that it was easy for Element to just move in 4 members and make the push. So unless they can get something mid here from Fnatic, they just lost out on that play.
Still, that was an inner turret, and this will be an outer turret if they kill Anchor as well.
They don't get the tower either.
No, that's cleared out by the fast bomb. The bottom tower was not even touched or scratched. They just pushed the minion wave in there and had to back into the jungle. They did get a little bit of vision there, but compared to a tower, Elements just evening this up a little. Even though it is 3-3 turrets in this game, Elements are still behind in terms of gold coming in from the lane CS. But still.
Fnatic just didn't respect the play that Elements could make there.
Yeah.
Kind of saying, oh, if they go top lane, we can like rush bot lane, but they were so far away from that inhib turret compared to where Elements would catch the wave on top side. So just a good play from Elements here. And that actually evens out the towers. Yeah. So at least tower-wise, that advantage is now even.
Well, it's like you were saying earlier, they need to make a play and then do one better to even up the game and then get ahead again by doing another play like that. But it all kind of rippled from that first tower. But now, this game is not looking quite as grim as it was a couple minutes ago.
Well, you're still very far behind when it comes to top lane farm. Ban of Command is completed.
Hey.
He's already used it on the first cannon minion and Fnatic. You can see them pinging on it on the minimap. So now that wave is going to constantly push against Malphite. If you can keep that 1v1 going, you will slowly but surely chip away damage on this tier 2 tower top, which is the whole objective of this build from Gamso. And if he leaves the lane and Steve leaves the lane as well with the minion alive, the Ban of Command minion, that wave will keep pushing down on its own. At least get to the tower and get some damage, and then it will reset slowly. So let's see, Gamso here, he's getting closer to the tower. Objective is keep the rest of Elements on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah. So, Featherman maybe caught out by Gilius, but he's trying to make this play happen. The wood comes up, but maybe he's taken out by Featherman, returning with the damage. Ignite coming out. Spirit following up as well. Here comes the spear, lands onto Sprattle, and he goes Splattle. Now Spirit chasing after Gilius, looking for the takedown, doesn't quite get it, as Rallis is there to stop him, but they keep up the chase. Clyde is trying to close in, has the Dark Passage, will flash. The hook, it goes wide, but he gets the charm and the play regardless. There's another kill, Clyde setting up his team.
And that's Fnatic getting everything. We just talked about how the objective is keep the rest of Elements on the bottom side. Killing them wasn't even part of the plan. They might get Ike as well.
You can run, you can hide, but the ultimate from Gamsu will still find you.
They just got everything, and I just looked at my own screen. The top lane tier 2 tower with the Ban of Command minion is down to 50%. Spraggle,
man, complete
also
collapse.
50%.
Just comes back, and he's only level 5. He'll try and defend this turret, but this should be going down to Fnatic.
So, bottom lane here for Elements. They should know that the only play Fnatic is looking to make is just keep them there. And then they get surprised, they get jumped on. Gilius tried to make that big play we mentioned in Champs League he likes to do on Lee Sin. But Febiven just basically outplayed him on it. Very easy, just a quick dash, nothing else. And now they just completely caught out while we have the 1v1 top lane. And Elements just have to try and run away, but against Nidalee mobility, Ahri's chasing. Impossible for Elements actually to escape at this point. And now they're just losing everything.
Yeah, and Clyde was just able to clean up here. He goes for the flash and the hook. Doesn't quite connect, but the way that Rallis had to move meant he was still in range for the play, which set up the charm. So the play was still good by Clyde.
Grabs the cloak.
Oh,
ZZ Rod hype!
60% there.
We kind of killed the hype because we talked so much about it already. Yeah. But it's gonna happen.
We can revisit it when it's complete.
Yeah, we gotta look at where he puts the portal.
Yes, that is the most hype thing coming out here. Because remember, he has to keep it in range. If you actually haven't used ZZ Rock Portal, you want to place it down and look at your mini-map because it gives you an indicator of where it goes, how far the minions go, basically, if there's nothing interrupting them on the way. So you want to place it within range of a tower, so it reaches the tower and those little minions explode and you deal damage.
Yeah, remember that at the end of the range, the minions start losing HP. So the tower will actually one-shot them if they start losing HP before they reach the tower. So you need to have it close enough that the minion is on full HP when it reaches the tower, so it explodes on it instead of just dying in front of it. Yeah, we have to see. So Ban of Command is used again by Gamsu. I know we're just talking from minimap because we haven't actually seen him do it a single time. But he has put it on another cannon minion. Steve is kind of saying, I know what's about to happen. I can't stop it. And Fnatic can either group on it with Rift Herald now, so you have Ban of Command plus Rift Herald to push in on Steve, and look how slow Elements are reacting because they tried to take a dragon. They have no chance stopping this right now because now Rift Herald buff is gonna happen. Ban of Command minion. Steve is like, okay, what am I doing on this?
So good. Kind of fulfilling the theme of Nautilus, where he's just like trudging towards you and nothing you can do about it. Down goes the tower. Here comes the package, and maybe closing on a Gamsu. Yeah, he's not getting out of this one. The spear will come in, just to put a little bit of damage back onto Ica. But Element will close in and take out Nautilus.
Steve got angry.
He did.
Right there, watching his tower die.
But Nautilus will be back, and so will Clyde. Another hook onto Sprattle. Another kill over to the team of Fnatic, and now they will try to capitalize and take this middle turret.
This is not cheese, by the way.
This is legit.
This is a strategy we've seen in solo queue quite a bit this week from a lot of different players. Like solo queue players, LCS players in solo queue as well. And it's just so impactful if you're able to get your single 1v1 lane, or if your team is able to set you up in that 1v1 lane and then rotate to that lane once those minions and the portal soon completed is put in place, because it forces the other team to hard engage. It forces the other team to hard engage on you, or your tower is just gonna die.
It's also great because, unlike other split pushes, you can build it on a tank who is still useful in teamfights as a front line, and then join the teamfight anyway and still have the split button for it. So it's just so good on so many different fronts. But you can only build it into certain types of compositions. Like if someone's picked a Malphite, then it's just like prime ZZ.
Oh yeah, that's the perfect one. If they play Fiora on the other hand, who will just instantly destroy your portal and never let you push them into tower,
useless.
It doesn't work that well. But you can use it again as a slow pusher. Just one of the items, just to constantly have a minion wave pushing for you, so you force the enemy team to have to react and defend that minion wave at some point and catch the farm. So now all outer turrets are gone. Gamsu is now looking towards inhib turrets, and he's here with his trusted cannon minion, buffed up by Ban of Command once again. Let's see how fast Steve... Oh, you do no damage because it's magic.
Yeah, unlucky. Now he has to drag it to the tower, and the tower will help him out.
And the minions, and he has to auto attack it.
Look at that. Ridiculous. ZZ Rot, Kite.
All right, let's see what happens elsewhere on the map.
Got it.
Because Steve
Yes!
finally killed that one.
Yeah, you should clap and cheer for that one.
Problem is the rest of Fnatic is also winning, by the way. So like this is obviously just a super snowballing match for Fnatic, and the highlight is just watching a split pushing Nautilus with Ban of Command and ZZ Rock.
All right, we're gonna see it be placed down. So if you don't want it to be killed, you want to place it near the tower, but since there is no tower there, then he's gonna have to place it further up and try and defend it.
Well, yeah, you just want to time it with your own minion wave arriving so that the first Voidling, preferably, because this one, the special one, every 4th Voidling and the first one have this special where they do 15% of your max HP and extra damage. So like these won't reach the tower because they're gonna die like before, or get one shot by the tower itself. Blop.
Blop. That's what a Voidling sounds like when it dies, by the way.
It is gonna slow push though, constantly, like the small Voidlings will do damage, and if they kill someone, you get the gold.
Whoa.
Man, the CC Rod commercials, that is going crazy.
Value. If you buy now, then you will get all the gold from these minions. I actually think if there's no minions in the way, those will reach the tower. No,
the tower will one-shot them before they deal damage.
But they become vulnerable as they walk up to the tower and there's nothing else there. They have this little grace period. So we'll see, because it's kind of on the fringe, so one of it could be right.
Pretty sure I tested it yesterday and they won't deal any damage,
we'll see.
Sadly. I don't think it's gonna happen because Steve is gonna sit bot lane and try and play it out. But he's gonna have to find the portal. So he's gonna find it in here now. Then he has to kill the portal, which takes the same amount of time it takes to kill their Ban of Command minion, because now he's on it.
This is actually just even worse.
There we go.
Oh.
And then you just combine the two.
Right hook, left hook. Right hook.
This is the most exciting game
Get him, Gamsu! Get him off the ZZ Rot! Yeah! Living. We living. Look, there's a super one. Gamsu hasn't got that much health at the moment because he went banner first.
Oh, he doesn't want a team fight.
He'll want to go for a bigger health item, which will buff up those minions as well.
Yeah, that's it. That's the downside, obviously. Yes, you are a tank, and ZZ Rod is actually their second best MR item in terms of pure stats, because it gets 60 MR. So it is a strong tank item in that sense, but it doesn't give an active you can use in a team fight, and it doesn't give any HP either. So he's fairly squishy with this build in a way, even though he is a big tank. That's just something you gotta keep in mind. He's obviously not as squishy as an AD carry or anything, and he can tank up something, but you're not built for team fights. You're built for being annoying in a side lane.
not a lot has happened on the rest of the map, I've got to be honest, while all those ZZ Rot shenanigans were going on. However, now Baron is being started by Fnatic, and Featherman is there over the wall. Spirit is going to be going in on this one. That was blue trinketed, but we do have Featherman playing a goalkeeper here. Now the TP comes in from Steve, so got to respect the unstoppable ultimate.
There's actually no reason for Fnatic to make this play at all. You need Gamsu just to sit in that bot lane. And you need Elements to send someone else to defend it, and then you can go for Baron after. Now this actually just allowed Elements to make a play themselves. They have Steve now with the team. Got a bit of mid lane damage as well, or mid tower damage. So Gamsu, back into your lane. You have TP as well. There's no need to go walk in with your team and start a Baron. A little bit too early for Fnatic.
You couldn't see that, but Fisher was gesturing towards the bottom lane, shoving.
Trying to wave him down there to the bottom lane. There you go. It worked.
Okay. He's also going towards Sunfire Cape, so even more pushing potential. Also gives you extra HP. So fantastic. Look at the synergy. Featherman back in the top lane, also split pushing. This is also good because who's going to duel Featherman? No one.
Overall, the Elements composition was a little bit strange in the pick and ban phase, like blind picking the Malphite before you had seen the last two picks from Fnatic. I don't feel is very good. Even though Fiora was banned, who's normally doing really well against him in lane. Anyway, we got our boy Gamsu in the bottom lane, Featherman in the top lane. Doesn't have the same crazy beautiful style that Gamsu is going to bring. Banner of Command is soon ready, and that this cannon is the chosen one.
There we go. Unless he's buffed by Baron, we can't name him.
Let's see if he puts the portal the same place. He does, okay.
Yes.
And now he's probably going to leave because Steve has no teleport.
Look how much damage this minion does, by the way.
Yeah, so what you want to do now,
Bam.
if you look what Gamsu is doing on the minimap. Steve has no TP, so he's dragging Steve away from the lane, saying, I'm going to force a fight. Like, you have to be with your team now, because I'm going to force a team fight. I'm Nautilus, I can just click ulti on someone. So now this bot lane with the CZ Rod is just going to continue pushing into the lane and a Banner of Command minion, and Steve can't defend. Nobody can defend this one on bot side. It's just being forced by the items.
But someone has to go, because it will erode the tower, because minions, when they explode, they do actually a bunch of damage.
Or
money.
Elements will have to force a team fight. They have Malphite ulti and say, like, the way we can break this is not by constantly.
Hey!
Yeah, but the tower didn't hit it. That's not the point.
Oh.
The tower is supposed to hit it before it explodes, but because there's minions, it works, obviously, for it.
Alright.
It's because tower didn't hit it.
Oh, Gilius! Clive finds him and the team tries to capitalize, and Sprattle will be giving his life for Gilius. He jumps over the wall, but he's gonna go down. Featherman, what a charm onto Ica. Steve jumps in, he gets one, he's looking for more. Everyone from Fnatic, this is actually going sideways, and Ryland and Gilius may be able to finish off Featherman. Not quite enough, he'll cut away with the Foxfires. There's the shutdown over the Spirit. 3 members remaining for Fnatic, 2 for 5 overall.
And that was the play Fnatic tried to do before, without setting up the bottom lane. Now they did it correct. Set up bot lane with Banner of Command and ZZ Rod. Force Steve to go defend, rush the Baron, force the team fight. Steve came in so late. He used his ulti when one member of his team was already dead. That's how you want to play. This tower as well, by the way, on bottom side is on 40% HP.
From just ZZ Rot and Banner. I actually think it's a little lower, but we'll have to... Oh! Yeah.
30%.
Yeah. 29%.
So,
alright.
Minimap right here. Steve is running from the bottom lane. He's the guy needed in the start of this fight. And then say Radish is doing the same. So Fnatic's making the right play. You force the Baron not to take the Baron, but to get a team fight. And as soon as the fight is on, Reckless does go down, but it's clean up from here on and out from Fnatic. Actually became a little bit of a messy fight.
Yeah, towards the end there, Fnatic may be going down, but Featherman got all of his damage off, another rotation came up. Steve having some fun in the bot lane.
So we have now learned stuff about ZZ Rod. If the minion is about to die but gets close to the tower, and it doesn't get hit by the tower, it will explode and deal the damage. That's why he places it down here in the bush, because it is close enough to get the explosion and also pushed away as long as there's minions with it. If there's no minions, the Voidling will walk down, be low HP, the tower will one-shot it, and it won't deal the damage. Which we're gonna see now. Look at this beautiful little minion. No. Probably the back one. Actually, no, don't kill Steve.
He doesn't get gold for that, by the way, so there's just no value. It's all bad. Did we see a banner? No. So Gamsu is still waiting on his banner.
You can do it now.
Waiting for a cannon.
Oh, it's one cannon?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Alright, so he's going to stay here for a little bit. He has teleport. There's a pink ward in that bush, so if he decides to go in there and teleport out, they'll be able to see him to potentially stop him. Yeah, Steve's going to try and clear, but he is malfighting, and this is a cannon that has been buffed.
Yeah, no, Steve again needs help in this bottom lane. He might just try and keep the cannon there, just stand there and like wait for his minion wave every time to show up and let them DPS it down.
This is the most frustrating thing to play against, by the way. Like, there's nothing you can do about it.
Good thing is he has teleport now, so you can actually sit bot lane and then hopefully kill the ban of command minion and then TP away. So for Fnatic, again, you want to set up the play. And when there is TP, you want to do it as soon as the ban of command minion pushes far enough up. Then you want to make the play, because if he TPs away, the ban of command minion is still alive and can push in on tower.
Good shot. Has revealed it. Gideus jumps in. Can he get the steal? Gonna go with no. Sprattle pops his ultimate. Now we'll be going down to Spirit, who smites it. And that is Baron going over to Fnatic. And is the first one of the game. 1 out of 1, 100%. Hashtag mathematics. 11 kills in this one, and now they'll be pushing up the top lane. Just need to take down those other 2 inhibitor towers. But since they've already taken the mid lane one, it should be a fairly easy push. And of course, bot is still pushing. So Elements just constantly on the back foot.
Set up the small voidings from the portal, constantly spawning, pushing in that wave. It's never going to push back for Elements because there's so many extra minions always coming in. Even though they only deal a little bit of damage on the minions, it's enough to always turn it in their favor.
Oh, Sprattle's there. He's got you, buddy. But I'm not sure he can protect the tower. That is a big minion wave stacking in the bottom lane.
And as soon as it hits the tower, the voidings will start exploding on the tower. Steve has to engage, basically.
He's being pulled in. He's getting CC'd up. He has unstoppable force. He just needs a place to use it. Gamsu is still quite tanky. There's another hook onto the Malphite. He gets the ultimate off, but maybe a little too late. Gillis is in there, but now Featherman is just going massive, and that was not the right way to kick him. There is a double kill going over to Reckless's Lucian, and Sprattle will also go down. That's a 5-4-1, and Fnatic will close in for that win.
Fnatic won the lane swap. Had the strategy prepared, and Elements barely even showed up.
What a clean game by Fnatic. Slow, methodical, and leveraging that ZZ Rock portal and coming for the win up against Elements. What a game by Fnatic.
And this is what we see in Europe at the moment. We have a very clear top 6, and we have a very clear bottom 4. And looking at the last few weeks, let's just take last week as an example. There was no upsets between the bottom 4 teams beating the top 6 teams. That didn't happen. It was close because Fnatic and Rocket were so close. But in the end, the top 6 teams won all the games.
1, 2, 3.
Fnatic!
Fnatic just coming out there. A solid win. It was really strong, and one of the best ways to play this current meta is just really cleanly. Not fighting all the time, but pushing in the side waves, controlling the towers, controlling the flow of the game. And that's definitely what they did, even from the first phase of the lane swap.
Yeah,
capitalizing on a mistake from Elements, but still staying on top of it.
Exactly, like Fnatic showed how to play the first few steps of the lane swap, and then as soon as Elements made the mistake, Fnatic were basically like, okay, so we have a tower top now. We can rush bot lane with this big wave coming from them trying to freeze it, push it into tower and take another tier 2, and that opened up the map so much and gives so much early goal for Gamsu to get this build a lot quicker. Because that's one of the problems we can see with it, is it's a fairly slow build. And it's just like Ban of Command as a first item is not that strong.
Sure.
So if you get delayed because you get, you know, you fall behind or whatever, you die in lane, it takes a while for this build to be completed, but it came very quickly, and we didn't show that at the tier 2 tower up top lane, but the first Ban of Command wave took 50% of that tower. So it is very effective. Obviously it has some negative things as well. We talked about them in the game, how not as strong as you normally are if you're in a big team fight and whatever, and it takes a bit of time to get them, but it is a very, very strong strategy.
It is, and I'm definitely going to try it tonight. But yeah, for this team, we tunneled a lot on the side lanes and the strategy. But
that was the game, really.
I mean, it was, but then you got to look at the individual performances and like the team fight. Okay, it's small in comparison to the bigger picture, which is what we saw in game. But like Fox did really well. He just had some good mechanics and team fights. He didn't even die in that game, by the way. We saw so much. Yes, Feathervin. What did I say?
I think doesn't matter. Anyway,
I said Feathervin. Feathervin
sure.
Didn't even die in that game, even though we saw so much pressure coming in from Elements. Gillius even like using a lot of resources on him, and he just like stopped it from happening. It was just well played. Anyway, we're going to throw over to Quickshot, who is on stage, joined by Fnatic's carry in the bottom lane.
Thank you very much, Pulse. I am joined by Reckless. First of all, congratulations on a dominant and convincing win. I want to talk about Cly. Let's sit back and tell me, how did you find this guy, and why did you bring him into the team?
Well, I guess first of all we met maybe in season 3 or so in solo queue. So I've known about him for a while now already, but he didn't really come up to point until lately when the reset and everything, and he was really high in Challenger. So I guess we just kind of ended up playing against each other and with each other occasionally, and then I just ended up duking with him a bit, and it felt, I guess, right already from the start, because we're both Swedish, we both understand each other on a personal level, so it's like easy to get along, I guess, in some ways. And it was kind of just convenient in some ways too, because things didn't really work out on a team level with Noxiac, and that's something that kind of hinders us to grow faster, to grow more. And I think that's why we made the change we did. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the win. This is the first mid-season substitution that Fnatic has made since 2013. It's been a long time, and I can imagine it was a difficult decision. But what is the mood like in the team now that you've been training with Cly for a week? Obviously, the win is going to help out, but what's the mood in the gaming house in terms of your preparation?
I mean, it's not like the mood was bad or anything when Noxiac was around. It was still really good. But I think now with Cly coming in, it's more just, it feels like everyone's on the same page, both in the game and outside of the game, and it doesn't have to be forced in some ways, and that's kind of the problem. That was kind of the problem with Noxiac. Even though we all really, really tried, and it was a tough decision to make to replace him, I still feel like it was just something that was meant to happen at some point. And the sooner we did it, the more time we had to grow with one another. And with IM coming around in 3 weeks or so, we want to be on our A game so we can put up a fight and represent Europe well.
I'm happy to hear that. Looking ahead, something that Fnatic as an organization and a team you guys have said as well, looking towards Worlds. Let's get some insight then. Is your primary role still going to be shot caller, or is this something you're also looking at to adjust in the team now that you brought Cly on?
Well, I think over the past month I've kind of grown into the role already, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it, and at the same time allowed myself to, I guess, play my game as well. So I wouldn't say, like, with him coming in, he's going to take everything over, but then again, maybe he can take some burdens off my back, because at some points it can get a lot for me to deal with, because as an AD carry you are very like on point all the time. You don't have much time off where you can kind of take a step back and think about what's next. But I feel like so far it's been working quite well with me on the shot calling role, and everyone chipping in and giving maximum amount of information, so it makes my job a lot easier, I guess. And I think today we showcased a pretty strong like team synergy. We were really on point with what we were doing together.
Yeah, it definitely looked that way from an outside perspective. Thank you very much for the honesty. Congratulations on the win, and best of luck for the rest of the split. For now, we're going to head back up to Shocks on the analyst desk to wrap up that game.
Well, thank you so much, and I actually want to talk about the interview a little bit first, because indeed it was very, very insightful. A couple of things to me. The first thing is that in the beginning of the season, of course, we heard from all the members, hey, we want to be good at the end of summer. This is a project that we are working towards, yet here we hear we weren't growing fast enough. What does that indicate to you for short-term goals for Fnatic?
No, I just, like Reckless just said, that maybe all the players were not on the same page, and there were some kind of issues inside the team, and that can really, like I personally know this, that can like really hinder the growth of the team if you are just not everyone as motivated and have the same goals.
Yeah, definitely. You may not be at a level yet where you want to be, but you can have a good indication that you'll have the potential to grow there or not. Like certain teams just are not meant to grow because people have different philosophies about in-game, out-of-game, practice habits, the way you react to something. Maybe your teammate finds certain things stupidly funny, and you think, like, what childish humor. And like little things like that can seep through in the day-to-day relationships in the game, and in the end, it's all about trusting each other and blindly following calls. If somebody goes in, you want your team to go in with you. Worst case, after the game, analyze that play then. So that seems to be the main reason to remove Noxiac, because on an individual level, he wasn't performing much worse than the other Fnatic members. So it must have had some psychological impact in the gaming house.
And it just has to click, especially for Reckless, I would say, with all the responsibility he's taking on his shoulders within that team. Let's look at this game then. I thought it was a very 2015 Fnatic-esque game. And Krepo, you wanted to talk about picks and bans specifically, because you feel like with the bans, they shut down Elements and shut down their strength specifically in Steve.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about both these compositions. Elements is what we saw kind of G2 play in week 2 and 3, like these heavy poke comps, double siege, and it's really good if you can just group up and siege, but Fnatic kind of did it better. And more importantly, I really liked the thematic counterpick from Nautilus. So they kept pushing in Steve in the top lane. And Steve was the only engage for Elements, and Elements have shown in the past that they've been really struggling when they don't have a hard engage. So Steve was constantly pushed in on the sidelines with the ZZ route, with the Banner of Command minion, and he couldn't really get any engages off.
Yeah, and 4v4 in this case, Elements does lose, especially when Fnatic is ahead, because Natalie can just nullify the poke of Corki and Ezreal by healing and then poking back, and at this point Elements is just pretty much waiting to get charmed or hooked.
Yeah, and it kind of got even worse once Elements botched up the lane swap, and we kind of have the replay of the moment where it all came ahead for Fnatic, and that was at the tier 2 tower where they started sieging up. Elements was behind from the play already. Deficio touched upon it in the game. Look at where Fnatic is right now on the map. They're rotating towards bot lane, and Rawless, he's stuck in the top lane trying to catch up on the play. We can roll the clip right now, and we'll see Cly actually being very comfortable right here in his role as a support. Like, playing lane swap as a support on stage for the first time is pretty rough, but he did very well here. He even goes for the hook here, and look at how Reckless immediately will follow up too. Even flash in to get the 2 last hits here, and then the Ignite ticks him off. So it's nice to see Fnatic play aggressive on the same page with that new support.
Yeah, honestly, like, Steve was just way too ahead here. Like, just trying to go in 1v4, I really don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, and that's a signature move from Elements where they kind of put themselves behind draft-wise, and then they try to catch up at the wrong moments. We saw it in week 3, day 1, as well, when they played against the Unicorns.
Yeah, and finally then actually at one point Fnatic said, okay, we have this small advantage, let's turn this into a huge advantage, and that's where we saw the game snowballing out of control. For Fnatic at least, they just pressed the go button and they went for it.
Yeah, we'll see like a series of skirmishes again. This is Gilius desperately trying to make a pick to get the game even, but yeah, kicking there is pretty rough when Faven plays the ways he does.
Yeah, because Faven gets away, and at this point it's just Fnatic trying to clean everything up, and eventually they do succeed.
Yeah, look at that nearly damage coming out there with the Runic. Then Gilius has the flash, Rawls is chasing. Eventually, Clyde will walk up here, and he'll go for the sick Mad Life play. It's actually a zoning hook. Either Rawls gets into it, or he walks back into Faven. Either way, he dies.
That was the strat.
No, he probably should have flashed with the Lantern, but honestly, it's bold going for a Mad Life on the stage. But the clip that really matters is what's going to follow here afterwards, where we fast forward in time, and we're going to get that Baron set up as we see Aika dying here. Fnatic, they really set up that bottom wave push with the Banner, with the ZZ Rot, and suddenly they start the Baron.
Yeah, I think this hook was blind. I'm not sure.
I think a ward just died where he swept, but either way, Cly again, zero hesitation, and I think that's fantastic to see. Many supports will be like, yeah, do we stop? Do we keep doing Barons? He just goes over the wall. I think Elements could have actually won this fight. A bit unfortunate flash from Steve, but thematically, I like what Elements brought, what Fnatic brought to the table. Unity in playstyle, the new supports playing aggressive, and everybody seems to get along.
Yeah, it just like this is the Fnatic confidence, like Efia said before there, that they know they are ahead, they know they can go for the Baron play, and they know they will win the fight when Elements does come and contest.
And that is a fantastic sign for Fnatic fans, at least a win on the board. And as we speak, Origin and Splice are gearing up for our next clash of the day. Before we go, we'll hear how Vitality Shook found himself roaming the jungle.
I used to be a top lane main, but back then you didn't have wards since level 1, so I was always winning lane, but then I got ganked by the enemy jungler, and then my jungler was never there to help me, so it's like I might as well just swap to jungle and do the camping instead, so that's how I became a jungler. Right now the best way to play jungle is you just farm, you get your green item, your jungle item gives you vision, you get 2 wards for free, and you just look to go into the enemy jungle, place them, back out, go back to farming, and just they provide vision for your team. Like, you're not really to gank unless they overextend really hard and get a free kill for it.